Welcome to the Bradenton Blitz. I am Jason Dill.
I'm David Wilson.
And let's talk about where we stand at this point into the season. We have Braden River and Palmetto fighting for a playoff berth.
Right.
Manatee clinched already.
Yep.
Cardinal Mooney already clinched. Everybody else has some work to do. Some other teams have already been eliminated, like Lakewood Ranch, Out of Door Academy. But Braden and Christian Bayshore are kind of hanging by a thread with mathematical possibilities still looming.
Yep. And like you mentioned, the big one this weekend, obviously, Palmetto, Braden River. Palmetto can't clinch this weekend. Braden River can clinch a playoff spot. But we've talked about it all season long that these last 3 weeks of district games that will determine the league. Braden River beating Venice last week. Now host Palmetto. Probably the biggest game, at least in terms of stakes, in the county this season.
It's funny because last week was the biggest game in Braden River's program history, basically, or the most important. You had number 3 Braden River in the state for Class 7A facing number 2 Venice. Braden River wins 30-20 to set up now this game where they can win their second straight district title. They won their first ever district championship last year. They went undefeated last year. Everybody, the knock on Braden River has always been their schedule. Are they really as good as we think they are? And they showed it last week by beating a very good Venice team. They got out to a very quick start, up 20-6, and ended up peeling it off after Venice closed it to a 1-score game, and they make it a 2-score game late. They get their defense. Everybody talks about their defense. Had another takeaway. They have 21 takeaways on the year. But Palmetto's defense is something that people really people aren't talking about, and that's really a strong point for the Tigers this year, right?
Yeah, other than the Manatee game where they allowed 36 points, they've been pretty stout. They held Northport to less than 10 yards last week. Probably as good as their defense has played all season. I think it's going to be low scoring. I would guess 2 good quarterbacks, 2 good running backs, but in the end, I think it's going to come down to the defenses.
I think the key this week is obviously Jacob Huseman played really well last week. He went 7 for 7 in the final quarter against Venice to salt away the game for the Pirates. But Palmetto's got a healthy Jack Allison, which is something they didn't have last year when he threw 4 interceptions against the Pirates, who ran away with the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's only thrown, I believe, 4 interceptions this season. I think it's going to come down to taking care of the ball. Both quarterbacks have been pretty smart with the football. Both, I think, playing probably as good as they have all season. Allison threw for a season high in yards last week. So it's going to be the quarterbacks and the defense, I would say.
I'm picking Braden River. I made that mistake last week. I didn't pick them against Venice, and I heard about it a little bit. So who do you have?
I have Palmetto. I just think last year they're going to be, I think they're better than they looked last year, and it's going to be sort of a revenge game, and obviously also.
Well, we talked about Manatee. Yeah, we talked about Manatee already clinching a playoff spot based on the tiebreakers and whatnot, but they can win a district championship this week at home against Riverview. Second time in a row they're going to be playing a Riverview team. They played the Rams down in Sarasota. Now they get the Sharks from actual Riverview, Florida. So I think Manatee's going to roll. They've outscored district opponents in 4 games, 189-34. They're really playing pretty well. Lorenz Allen had his 4th 100-yard rushing game when he ran for a career-high 213 last week. I don't think anybody's stopping the Hurricanes in that district.
Yeah, they're on fire. And speaking of good quarterbacks, A.J. Cole-Giovanni has been awesome for them this season. Still, a little bit of turnover. He threw 2 interceptions last week. He gets bit with the turnover bug a little bit, but he leads the county in yards passing. Pretty effective runner. Their offense is rolling right now, and their defense looks just as good.
So you like Manatee as well?
I like Manatee also.
And then, of course, we have Paramus Catholic from New Jersey, number 1 rated college player in the class of 2016, defensive lineman Rashawn Gary's coming to town. It's an ESPN2 game at IMG Academy. Quarterback Shea Patterson, who's going to Ole Miss, number 1 signal caller in all of class of 2016. He's probably going to be rolling out of that pocket like Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, and doing his best impersonation of him because Rashawn Gary is the real deal.
Yeah, I was out at their practice yesterday. IMG came into the season the offensive line was kind of unproven, really young. They feel a lot more prepared for this challenge than they would have even 3 or 4 weeks ago because they've really developed their. Shea Patterson's going to be sacked 3 times this season. They've had a bye week, so they've been watching a lot of film on Gary. It's going to be a challenge, but IMG, I think, just across the board has more talent than Paramus and should be able to win.
And now we need to talk about Southeast in Class 5A, District 11, where the Seminoles really shot themselves in the foot last week, losing to Englewood Lemon Bay 14-7. Now they need some help to kind of make the playoffs these last 2 weeks. They have to go to Wauchula, which, if anybody knows, is a very small town, but it's also a town that is not conducive to, traveling about an hour from here, from Bradenton to Hardy to play the Wildcats, who are undefeated in that district. It's going to be a tough road ahead for the Seminoles.
Yeah, it's not a must-win, but they need a lot of help, and a win here would totally change the shape of that district and make things really muddled going into the last week of the season.
I like Hardy to
I
win
like
that
Hardy
game.
also. Tough trip for
I like
Southwest.
IMG to win that game against Paramus as well. Quick hits, let's go through them. ODA at St. Stephen's, the Battle of the Headmasters Cup. I like St. Stephen's.
I like St. Stephen's also.
Lakeland Victory Christian, I like Cardinal Mooney actually at home to win that game.
Yeah, Cardinal Mooney out the district, clinching a playoff spot. I think they'll win this one.
Tampa Cambridge, I like blowing out Bradenton Christian.
Yep.
Apologies to Bradenton Christian.
Yeah,
for
Bradenton Christian's defense has been not so good lately.
And I actually like Bayshore this week playing a winless Arcadia DeSoto team.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a winnable game for them. They've blown some winnable games. Northport's the one I think of, but they can win this one.
And Liquid Ranchers got eliminated last week in the loss to Sarasota. They're going to get probably slaughtered at Venice.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
All right, this is Jason Dill.
I'm David Wilson.
We'll catch you on the flip side.